Hello and welcome to Thoughtcast, the SPJIMR podcast, a rendezvous between a corporate head and an academic, a conversation about business and leadership. In this new episode of Thoughtcast today, we have with us Mr. A.M. Nayak, who is Group Chairman of Larsen & Toubro, the leading Indian technology, engineering, construction, manufacturing and services conglomerate. He is also the chairman of the National Skill Development Corporation of the Government of India. Mr. Naik has had a more than 5-decade-long journey at L&T, from an engineer on the shop floor to the apex level leadership. Mr. Naik built the growth trajectory of L&T. He has been awarded the Padma Bhushan and the Padma Vibhushan. Talking to him today is SPJIMR's Professor of Economics, Dr. Pallavi Modi. She is an economist, has 30 years of experience, and had recently co-authored a book on Mr. A.M. Naik. In the book, she has written along with Mr. R. Gopalakrishnan in the series Shapers of Business Institutions. She distinctly brings out the role that Mr. Naik played in shaping L&T. The idea was to find an answer to the question, what is the secret sauce that makes a good company great? So let's hear from them both. I hand it over to you, Dr. Modi.
All right. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Nayak. A second opportunity to interview because for the first time when I had conversation with you, I was fortunate to write a book on you. And
But
now,
I think that time we met many times.
yes, we met many times, and this time it's for a short interview in form of podcast. And you know now that everything short and sweet is more palatable, and that's how we have come up with this new concept of podcast, where for the benefit of our students, we are trying and taking out the pearls of wisdom from you and giving it to them on a platter. So, since I know that you joined L&T way back in 1965 and you have a 55 years career,
Now 56.
now 56 years of career, from the shop floor to the CEO to the MD to the chairman and the group chairman, I would want you to tell me what is the role of entrepreneur and intrapreneur. You are the perfect example of intrapreneur.
I can tell you the story about L&T, and that might possibly will be more useful. L&T is a great organization, but it has been more professionally managed, less of entrepreneurship. Consequently, I would say it needed a dose of entrepreneurship to add value. L&T for 17 years was under a potentially takeover target. And the only reason was because the value of the company was very cheap. So everybody finds it very, very attractive to have them. So whether it is Mr. Chabaria who was in Dubai who first tried to take over, and to protect that, Reliance came in, and lastly, of course, Birla House came in. And this went on from 1987 to 2004. So it's a good 16, 17 years. And therefore, when I took over as a CEO in 99, I made the first 90 days charter as to what I will do. And my mind was very clear that two things L&T must do. One is it has to create value at every step. And that means it will not happen without an entrepreneurship. Second thing is L&T was 100% domestic. So I said it has to become international and a global organization. And that was decided in 2000. My colleagues were little skeptical that time on both these issues. I went to all the 38 locations of the company and talked my thoughts. Lots of employees used to have a wrong notion that if you create value, you will need less people and lot will perhaps lose the jobs. And my point to them is we'll become more competitive and therefore we'll grow faster. Nobody will lose job and we'll grow faster. That is the difference between entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. So you won't believe that in 2000, the market cap of L&T was 5,000. Today it is 2,80,000. Now that's a sea change in a
True.
matter of
Absolutely.
17, 18 years.
True.
I think you will be surprised that I gave 5% 3 times
Hmm.
to all our employees as stock option, which was also part of my first 90 days. So I started a stock option scheme, first time in the whole Indian industry other than IT.
Other than in that.
And that I gave in 99 early, or 99 June, July, whatever. And can you believe that that multiplied 24 times? Being a chairman, of course, we had step by step or grade by grade how many shares we'll give. So there were
some formulas.
There was a proper systems and formula. My stock multiplied also 24 times. And obviously, as a chairman, I got somewhat more than others. That is enabling me today that I'm doing a hell of a lot of, by my norms, charity and philanthropy, and 75% of what my net worth is, I give it for charity. I would not have been able to do if there
The
was
value
not
was
an
not created.
entrepreneurial spirit.
And the value would not have been created.
Value is the core
Value is
for entrepreneurship.
true.
So entrepreneurship can do wonders.
True.
And I believe that, let's say if you are a manager, you at least or at best can maintain value, if there is a value. If you are a leader, you can add somewhat value if you are outstanding leader. If you are entrepreneur, you can multiply value. And if you are an entrepreneurial leader with professional background, you can multiply value.
And that is what you have done for L&T in the last period of about 17 to 20 years, which we have seen. The returns on investment, the return on equity has multiplied many, many times over. Now, when you were explaining me, you mentioned that people had some notion and you proved to that we are improving the competitiveness of the company. How did you?
Not really
how
proved.
did
I
you?
convinced them that nobody will lose jobs.
Absolutely. So, how did you manage people? I personally am aware that you are very good at people management.
You know,
What
when I
do you
was
do?
a student, right from 6-year-old, I used to contest election
Okay.
more as a prefect, and then I went to college as a different sports secretary, or finally general secretary.
Okay.
And there were 29,000 students working alongside with me. So when I came to Bombay, very first job that I did not get L&T because I was not IITian. But let's say destiny brought me within 18 months here. And where I started Nestler Boiler, I was on the shop floor. Even in L&T, I was on the shop floor. And I had to deal with union, right? Though it started with 50 people, but without losing sight of the fact that everybody will have to be very disciplined and productive. The workers virtually loved me. Why? I took a lot of interest, asked them what are their children doing. A lot of personal interest I took with each one of them, and they felt I'm like them.
True.
And that is the same thing in L&T. 99%, I would say there may be always 1% disgruntled guy. 99% consider me as a people's man, but tough taskmaster. But they all know that I'm a tough taskmaster in the interest of the company and therefore them. Unless the company goes up, they cannot go up. And I think that went very well.
And that message was entrenched into their beliefs.
It went down the line.
Absolutely.
Unless and until it went to the core, you can't achieve the desired value. It remains on the surface. So at all the 38 locations, I talked to lots of people. Then I said, what is our vision for the company? That was one more thing I wanted to achieve in 90 days. That what is the vision of Larsen Toubro? Because what we were doing, having started in 38, was no longer relevant after, let's say, 62 years. So I formed 750 people's panel from different divisions. L&T also was very, very over diversified, not diversified, over diversified. With the result, we could pay attention to each one of them, and we went on with many small and tiny businesses which were not creating any value. So, on one hand, I started removing all the small businesses, non-core businesses, and the biggest thing is, as a part of the takeover target, whatever it was, I made a settlement. And of course, in L&T's case, being what it is a national treasure. The Prime Minister always got involved in any of these, always. And finally, I sold the cement to Birla's and took back 15% of the share he had bought of L&T. And you will be surprised because that will be a case study by itself without paying a penny. I paid him 425 crore, but I got all the shares. I played that, took loan from the bank, and repaid that over time sheerly from dividend. So nobody paid anything.
And still you got
today the worth of that is 35,000 crores. So we have created 35,000. That is the value creation.
Absolutely.
All this 15% stock option, 2,500 people became millionaire. Nearly 1,000 became Karwajipati. And coming down to 100 people were more than worth 50 crores. I'm sure about 25 are worth more than 100, 200, 300 crores. Now that's a value creation.
Absolutely.
And that came only out of entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely.
And entrepreneurship, value addition, if you don't do it in an organization, sooner or later it will die. Because the value will remain static, market cap will not go up, some people will come up faster. They said, "Arey, here is the jewel of the crown lying with small money. Why not buy it?" And that's really what happened for 17 years.
Absolutely. What you created is you dusted out and brought the value and polished the diamond for everybody to appreciate.
And I did lots of things. I removed all the small businesses and I made a kind of expectation of the employees to rise, that we want to have scale and speed. Anything you do must be large. And we had fixed $1 billion. We have a division which after 60 years became 3,500 crores. I changed the entire setup. I verticalized the company, and it's a very involved subject. But in 14 years, 3,500 became 70,000. That's a value creation.
That's value. Absolutely.
So multiplication really comes with the entrepreneurship spirit, outstanding leadership in him, and obviously a professional management background. Why I'm saying professional management is important, but it reminds you each time of your past, that you were a middle class man, and you should not forget going forward the middle class and the lower middle class and poor people. So it's a very great strength to be professionally managed. And remember your past for making sure that future of country is well thought of all the time.
True. I want to ask, when you are talking about future of the country well thought of, I want to connect it to that this pandemic has come up with huge amount of opportunity and right kind of policies to put India on a higher scale is perceived. What are your thoughts about Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Well, both are independent subjects, somewhat remotely connected. But let me first talk to Atmanirbhar Bharat. L&T started with Atmanirbhar. We did not want anything to be imported. Whether it is initially 60 years ago, dairy machinery, we got the technology from Denmark, we manufacture them here. Anything and everything since then evolved around making in India. So we made the India's first nuclear reactor way back in 71. Of course, the reactor became bigger and bigger and bigger. And you will be surprised that when the rest of the world normally have delays in nuclear power station, we delivered the core of the nuclear reactor, steam generator ahead of schedule. And possibly because of that, we'll get many more steam generator orders in future. So whatever you do, you must focus, concentrate, mastermind, and each time being proud that I want to do it in India. That is Atmanirbhar. And this is what spirit L&T had, although L&T was not very good at value creation, but on being able to do ourselves, it was very high up. In 75, we went into aerospace, and today, bulk of the vehicle that goes up in the orbits, they're all made by Larsen Toubro. Then we started our defense activity in 85 because we wanted to make critical defense equipment in India. This is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And now we have just delivered again ahead of time 100 field guns. No more order government can give. There is no money. Money has gone. This is why remotely I'm saying money has gone in COVID. That's a huge expenditure government has incurred and incurring deficit. Indian economy deficit was 3%, which is considered not bad. This year it may be 8%. US also is likely to be 8-9%, right? Supposedly not at the moment, but may lead to inflation. Consequently, you will find again uneasiness in the population because they can't afford inflation. India is very difficult to manage. There is no country in the world which has a diversity in language, 22, dialects, 400, the religion, all. We are the second largest Muslim country. We are the seventh largest Christian country. Of course, we are Hindustan, but we have a Jainism, we have Buddhism. So I think Mr. Modi has a tremendously difficult job. And why I am saying all this, which is not your question, he is the one who tried many or have announced many schemes. One of them is Atmanirbhar Bharat. L&T may have done it 50 years ago. But as a nation, we should be proud if we can make things like China did. 55 years ago, China and India was the same economy, equal. Today, they are 5-6 times bigger. If you talk to people, they say, what can we do? We are democracy, they are autocracy. Well, we got to be mature democracy. Like America is, like England is. They have also grown.
So, what solution would you want to give to such a diverse country's progress?
Well, that is one question which has too many answers. And it is not something in this interview. Being a very vast ramification of this one question that we can answer. I would rather seek another meeting only on this subject. But there is no doubt in my mind that unless we solve the problem of poverty, problem of diversity, problem of electoral reforms, and whatever we may do without doing these core issues and corruption. India suffers from corruption, even today. And unless you minimize at least corruption, go through electoral reforms, right, and manage diversity with dignity, it is very difficult to manage this country towards rapid progress. We are $2.5 trillion economy. Even small countries are $2 trillion economies, and we have 1.3 billion people to feed. I mean, when
I
you
agree.
when in monsoon, when I pass through the road, I see shivering people on the footpath. I mean, they die. If they don't die, they will die someday, faster than otherwise they deserve. You go to villages or go to Bombay slums. I mean, it's pathetic. 70% of India lives not so well. I don't want to call it below poverty line. That may be.
Because that definition may differ.
So I'm saying not so well. And I don't know what we can do about it unless every single well-to-do Indian make some contribution to well-being of the remaining 70%.
The way in which you have been doing and you have been promoting.
Well, the point is, I'll come to that later. I have made that as my mission for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Although I have been working on it for 20 years, and therefore I never mention about it. But 75% of all my stock option, everything I have given away to my two trusts. So when I sell shares, my name doesn't come, my trust name comes. So I may have done for or got involved in millions of people's good bit by building hospitals. I have done three and two more are opening, one on third, one next year. Built 4 schools, but adopted 40 schools, built skill training center, all for poor people. And in a backward district, in a tribal areas where real India lives. Gandhiji used to say India lives in villages. And taking that seriously, my father went away where 99% people used to come to Bombay. In 52, he went away to the village to start a school. And my grandfather did that for 40 years for Gurukul. My father did it for another 40 years. My sister, of course, did it for a few years and then after marriage came to Bombay. And now I am doing it. And I'm very happy to tell you, because we have talked about it in the past, that my son, after 29 years, have come back. And, of course, my daughter-in-law. Every Friday after 4 o'clock, they go to the hospital near Navsari, which is about 4.5 hour journey. And Sunday night, they come back. Every Saturday. They're learning. I think one day they will do bigger things. And the story must continue from generation to generation to generation to give. And I'll tell you.
And just we have corporate social responsibility, a big word. And then there is by law that government is pushing people to give. Whereas what I find from you is a kind of a self motivated giving. It's very different. And we need more people who are doing this kind of a, let me not call it charity. It's not charity, it's a mission that you have taken it up. And I really appreciate.
I tell you, my father, at the age of 75, there is again a long story behind. I brought him and my mother to live with me. They were alone. Villagers used to come because he used to live in village. And they used to say, "Oh, your son is doing very well. You must be very proud of him." That time I was a president and, of course, a director on L&T board. And my father used to say, "Oh, he is doing well." In 1995, however, he told me, hospital is coming up in our village, nearby village. If you can help, help. You will be surprised. He retired with 32,000 rupees. And 25,000 rupees he gave away out of that in that hospital and made a room on my grandfather's name, his father. So I asked the organizer, "Tell me, what do you want to do with this money?" He said, "If you pay 4 lakhs, we'll name on your whoever, father, grandfather, mother, name the whole first floor." I saw all my saving, it was 2.6 lakhs. 32 years after, 95, I started working in 63. And then I took 1.4 lakh from Provident Fund, which I repaid over 4-5 years. By 99, I think I repaid. I gave 4 lakhs and put my grandfather's name in the hospital. right on the first floor. Then I, of course, have done a lot now. We have created a colony. We have created, there is a temple of my parents as you enter the hospital. But that's another matter. After that, whenever the villagers came, before that, my father called me and asked me, where from did you get 4 lakhs rupees? Because he was very, very honest. Even my value system, thanks to my 3 generation, that I cannot forget that India, he used to always say, don't look at the mahal, look at the huts. Then you will realize you are much better off. Then he was convinced that 4 lakhs rupees I got by right means. He wanted to check. Then the villager used to come, first time ever. He said, I'm very proud of my son. He used to otherwise say, he's doing well. And he said, because he thought of others and not himself. So this is institutionalized, generation from generation from generation. I'm very fortunate, and he is my role model, and also my grandfather. And that is where the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat, this is all coming from those value systems. And that is really what India must take seriously.
True. As a parting note, what would you want to suggest to the young managers who are ready to start their journey? The most important ingredient, the secret sauce that you have of success, what would you want to drive
I'll
one
give you
single
an
point?
example because that will that goes more effectively communicated. My community is small, located in South Gujarat, and of course now they have spread it out all over the world. So one association came and said we would like to honor you. I said no. Then 3 4 years later, that means 10 years back or 11 years back, 4 of them combined together. That is the time I said that you have 32 associations between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The day all 32 of you combine, I'll come. Can you believe they combined and then they came to invite me and I went. And I gave a speech. And I always say if there is a element of going abroad as one of the alternative, don't come back to me. Don't come back. India is spending money on your education. Instead of giving back, you are giving to another country. Maybe you are improving your standard of living. I don't say no, but are you going to come up in life? You will have to be 1 in million to come up or 1 in 500,000. This country has huge opportunities. If you want to live here, make India proud, make India a great country, fight or not fight but compete against the rest of the world, particularly China, and give your best in a nationalistic spirit. Then you are a good student. Then you are a good young manager. But from the final year, your mind is working how to go abroad. And I blame parents. I told those 1,000 people who were sitting, all of you are to be blamed. You tell in the society, oh, my son is in America, my daughter is in Britain. You take pride in it, right? What happens? By the way, this story you will like. If you are in the New York or Chicago or Los Angeles area, the middle age or relatively higher than middle age people, they land. And the story is washer, cooker, and babysitter have arrived. Washer means washing machine. Both son and daughter-in-law have gone for work. They have no work. The child is sleeping 16 hours. So they do the washing of clothes, cooking, everything is ready when son and daughter-in-law comes, including folding. When the children goes up, 4 year, 5 year, they no longer need their parents. And they're looking for because there's nobody, and they also don't want to stay whole day, what to do? Then old age home. In all my philanthropic work, many times the suggestion has come, why don't you build old age home? I said, no. That is the responsibility of the children. How can I encourage people who don't discharge the responsibility? All of this is a message to the young manager you are talking about. Because it is not only that the young manager must only do economic development of the country or making money, becoming wealthy, going abroad. What is your role to the nation and role to the society? They have to go hand in hand for India to be strong. And only if your country is strong, then no matter where you are living, the image of India will rise. It has risen. Once upon a time, they used to say, this is the country of snakes and elephants and all. Today, the whole world knows. I mean, the IT revolution has been brought by a lot of Indians. India has a very good image now. The President of the United States have 55 people of Indian origin. And he gave in his speech 3 days ago, India is taking over America. Of course, he just said it because the Vice President is also lady and half Indian. So I think first and foremost, you should not encourage your student to look abroad, but make India abroad. Let Africans and the others come to India to really study and not you running to study. And then you go for study but never come back. And then they will complain, H1 nahi milta hai, green card nahi milta hai. Why the hell you went there? So, parting message I want to tell, if SP Jain can convert 75% of the students to stop thinking from going abroad, you would have achieved a good objective for the country, for the society, well-being of their old age home or old age parents. And I don't mind someday coming and talking to the students stay.
I'm happy to inform you that 95% of our students work in India only.
Well, that is very good. But some of them you may not know that they are not here, they are abroad. And maybe SP Jain is an exception. I'm talking macro level of whole Indian story. And therefore, I'm happy. In my speech, 5 years ago, I said, all of you must be wondering why am I talking like that when my daughter and son themselves are in America. I don't mind telling you it was my mistake. But I have a hope my son will come back. Now I can say in my next speech, they are here. They are coming back. They are working for the society, apart from working for their profession. And this gives me immense pleasure that at least for the next 35, 40 years, my philanthropic work will continue. And that is what gives me inner pleasure. So far, I work 56 years, day and night. 53 out of that, average 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. 21 years, I did not take a day's leave and gave away everything, full devotion to L&T and with that platform to the country. But today, I am immensely happy that I am able to do something for the poorer section of the country. And that is what in 95 my father told. I still remember. Now I'm proud of him because he thought of others. And that I keep remembering and keep working. He said like that. He said like that. You should bring that social element of responsibility and national responsibility in your curriculum in SP Jain and make students the real proud Indians.
All right. Thank you so much. And this is a very, very important and timely message for our student community to be proud Indians and to be proud of the heritage we have and the responsibility that we share. Thank you so much for your wisdom and giving our students a kind of an aspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck. And by the way, you can come and talk to me on any subject as long as it is social and national.
Sure.
You were listening to SPJIMR's Thoughtcast, produced by Vinita Dwivedi, edited by Aditya Shroff, supported by Parth, Fani, Rishabh, Amulya, and Kaushik.